In 1934, Chrysler dropped a bombshell. They didn't just build another car, they declared war on tradition. This wasn't some chrome-heavy roaring dinosaur. This was sleek, smooth, silent, aerodynamic before that was even a word in people's vocabulary. But here's the kicker. The Chrysler Airflow was such a bold leap into the future that the world rejected it. Hard. It was so ahead of its time, people thought it looked weird, like a fish trying to be a car. And even weirder? It helped shape nearly every car you see today. We're uncovering the full shocking story behind the 1934 Chrysler Airflow, the innovation, the engineering, the public betrayal, and the bizarre reasons why this futuristic marvel flopped like a fish out of water. And hey, before we go deeper, smash that subscribe button like you're smashing a 1930s steel bumper with a sledgehammer. This is Abd Tech Lab, and we go where most car channels fear to tread. Now buckle up, because what you're about to hear changes how you'll look at cars forever. Coming up, a car so advanced people thought Chrysler had lost their minds. The Chrysler Airflow wasn't just a car, it was a design revolution. Before it, cars were upright, boxy, and honestly looked like rolling sheds. Chrysler said, "Forget that," and threw their car in a wind tunnel. Literally. They hired aviation engineers and even brought in Orville Wright to test how air moved across the body. The result? A curvy, streamlined, teardrop-shaped car that looked like it belonged on an airport runway, not a dirt road. But this radical look backfired. To customers used to square and sturdy, the Airflow looked fragile. One critic said it resembled a melting bar of soap. And let's not forget that waterfall grille. It was beautiful by today's standards, but back then people just didn't get it. Style meet confusion. But here's where it gets wild. What was under the hood was even more shocking than what was on the outside. And that's where we're heading next. Chrysler didn't stop at futuristic looks. The Airflow had engineering so advanced, it made other cars of the 30s feel like steam engines on wheels. Let's talk specs. The Airflow was offered with two engines. A 4.9-litre inline-8 that made 122 horsepower in the Chrysler Airflow models, and a massive 5.3-litre straight-8 pushing 130 horsepower in the Imperial versions. That was serious muscle for the time, capable of cruising comfortably at 80 mph, which is like warp speed back then. And with weight distribution near 50/50ths, it handled better than anything else on the road. Even crazier, it used a unibody construction, a one-piece body and chassis. That made it lighter, stronger and safer. In fact, in crash tests, the Airflow survived smashes that would leave other cars looking like accordion files. You might be wondering, why didn't this become the standard back then? Hold on to that thought, because the next section reveals how Chrysler's marketing team single-handedly sabotaged the Airflow's future. Chrysler had a masterpiece, but they launched it like it was a half-cooked pancake. They rushed early production models to dealers before final testing was complete. Some had serious defects, engine issues, rattles, misaligned panels, and once those cars hit the road, word spread fast. To prove the Airflow's safety, Chrysler literally staged public crash tests, slamming the car into walls at full speed. It survived, sure, but customers just stood there in shock. Not from amazement, from horror. And then came the advertisements. Chrysler ran ads bragging about a car that drives like it looks, which was probably not the flex they thought it was. People didn't want something revolutionary in the middle of the Great Depression. They wanted something reliable, familiar and affordable. But Chrysler wasn't done yet. They doubled down and secretly created a luxury monster that few have even heard about. You're going to love this next part. Most people have never heard of the Imperial CW Airflow. That's because Chrysler only made about 200 of them, hand-built ultra-luxury versions meant to rival the best of Cadillac and Lincoln. These beasts rode on a 146-inch wheelbase, came with massive straight-8 engines and interiors so lush they made Buckingham Palace look like a Motel 6. Built for the elite, this was Chrysler's shot at the ultra-premium market. But it was a ghost. Most people never even saw one. Today, they're among the rarest American luxury cars. One recently sold for nearly $400,000. If the regular Airflow was too weird for the masses, the CW was too expensive for anyone but oil barons and movie stars. But now, let's go even deeper, because this next secret, it's the one that makes the Airflow one of the most important failures in auto history. So here's the real twist. The Airflow failed, but it won the war. Its unibody structure, now standard in almost all modern vehicles. Its aerodynamic shape, the blueprint for everything from VW Beetles to Teslas, its weight distribution, inspired generations of performance vehicles. Even GM, who publicly mocked the Airflow, quietly began copying its design cues by the 1940s. Without the Airflow, you probably wouldn't have Mustangs, Camaros, or even modern SUVs. It was a commercial disaster, yes, but a technological triumph. You know the phrase, ahead of its time? The Airflow wasn't ahead by years, it was ahead by decades. And behind that radical vision was one man who gave everything for this car and got burned for it. His story is where we close the loop. Carl Breer was Chrysler's engineering mastermind. He was obsessed with innovation, inspired by airplanes, obsessed with aerodynamics, and deeply committed to pushing cars beyond what people expected. He believed the Airflow would set a new standard. And in truth it did, just not during his time. After the failure, Breer was quietly pushed out of the spotlight. His masterpiece was branded a mistake, and his influence faded, publicly at least. But car historians now recognize Breer as one of the most visionary engineers in American automotive history. His fingerprints are all over modern automotive design, even if few people know his name. Sometimes pioneers don't get statues. They get laughed at, then copied. The 1934 Chrysler Airflow was a car that dared to leap forward while the rest of the world was dragging its feet. It failed in sales, yes, but it won in legacy. It taught the industry that boldness comes at a cost, but staying the same comes at an even greater one. So next time you see a sleek modern vehicle cruise by, remember me, it started with something that looked like a steel fish and flopped harder than your uncle's dance moves at a wedding. If you enjoyed this ride through one of history's most underrated innovations, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to AB Tech Lab, and turn on that bell so you never miss another deep dive into automotive secrets they never taught you in school. Until next time, keep driving forward even if the world's not ready yet.